chat, you are free and welcome to start heading backstage while I finish up my questions with Andy. How does your like personal level, right? I want to kind of not in a bad way, but how is your family, friends, your local support with you taking this big leap up the line?
It's been great, and I can only do it with their support, so I'm so thankful for the people in my circle who have encouraged me as I've came out here. And yeah, without them, I wouldn't have the motivation or to keep going and to keep pushing.
Mhm.
My inner circle, my family is everything, friends and family, and to continue to have the support of the peers and the people around me is what will keep pushing me harder, as we go into November. And I said that, I kind of told people around me from the beginning. I said, look, I'm going to listen, I'm going to listen to what my people say. And if the people around me are encouraging and they're resonating with our message and what we're putting out, then I'll run as hard and take this as far, take this campaign as far as it can go.
What was the moment you decided? Like, what was the thing that just happened and you said, "Yes, I'm absolutely going to do this. I have to now."
Um, for me, running as an independent, it's really just, it's been building up over the last 2-4 years, as I've just seen a constant divide in America. I think
Mhm.
we have citizens that are viewing each other as enemies and not as fellow Americans. And I just, and I want to help bring. I want to help bring people together. I want to, with a positive, with unity, with love, and that's been my motivating force and my calling. That said, I want to give this a go, and I want that to be my message.
Where do you see yourself in the future? I mean, are you going to keep going further up the line? Are we going to presidential candidate Andy? Is that in
No,
the
I
near
mean that's
future,
not.
or are
Uh,
you not that ambitious? But we're going to get where we can.
Yeah, I mean that's sincerely not on that's not on my radar or my ambition. I've said I'm not a career politician. I mean I'm not looking to be a politician. I mean I'm a husband. I'm a family man. I'm a small business owner,
Hmm.
and I'm just I love America. I want to help. I see this as my way to give back to America if I get the opportunity to. So
Hmm.
um, that's as far as I see it. I would like, when we talk about maxing term limits, I think maximum Congress should be 8 years maximum. That anybody should be able to serve, similar to what we see in the presidential seat. But after that, I want to return. I have my family. I have my business here in Miami, and that's where I see myself. In the future.
That's fair. I like it. You're not like trying to go and jump into politics and stay there forever. You just want to go do your job and set the pace, and then let others come in. Pardon me,
Yeah,
come
and
in and
I
continue that success.
absolutely. I think, and that's what I think. I think that's what the system wants to see. I mean, that's what the American
Hmm.
people want to see. That's not what the system has become. The system has become the opposite. These people are
Yeah.
elected into power. It's hard to get incumbents out of power, and they're going to continue to serve the interest and the money that keeps them in power. And that's how. That's how the corrupt will is done. That's how it is achieved. But having new people in there. That are going to be recycled with new congressmen in a couple years, they're not going to serve those interests, and I think we'll have more people doing what they feel is right. And that's how we save America, Sarah. That's how we're. Yeah,
Fair enough. That's fair.
yeah.
James asks a question. He says, curious how you were able to get on the ballot as an independent. I know ballot access laws generally favor the two major parties and keeps third party candidates off the ballot. Any thoughts
Yeah,
there?
yeah. To get on the ballot as an independent, there's candidacy forms that you have to oath of office form, candidacy forms that you fill out. It's 2,000 petitions, and there's a qualifying fee. One thing that is actually favorable to independents is that once you do those things that I mentioned and you are on the ballot, there's a primary election. So at the moment, we don't know who we're running against. I'm running in a seat that is it's one of the strongest Democratic strongholds in the South Florida area. There's about 8 Democrats, I believe, that are running for the primary. That's August 18th. So they have to run a primary. We will be on the ballot come November. So that's actually one of the, that's a strength of being independent, and how you qualified for the ballot. So I would love to see more independents get on the ballot. James, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in doing this something too in your district too as an independent, I mean, use AI to coach you. I mean, there's the forms you'll see, there's a guidance, that's what we were talking about before. You have to get some petitions, and there's a qualifying fee.
Wow. Interesting. You could run a whole life just based off of AI. James also asks, why did you choose to run for U.S. Congress versus a member of the Florida legislature?
Good question. Right now, like I mentioned before, I'm American. I'm a patriot. I want to serve my country. I think Florida is one of the states that is going in the right direction. So I think politics in Florida have been pretty strong, in my opinion. I think over the past 4 years, Florida's seen tremendous growth, tremendous freedoms. So I think the governor DeSantis, I think his 8 years were excellent. I think he did a great job for Florida. I think Florida's in less need of help right now than the United States. I think so. I think where my calling and my interest to try to serve was for America.
Interesting. All right. Tom Carpenter makes the claim that power, control, and retention through Edward Bernays style propaganda is the program of the dual party. So basically, marketing is why we're in. This was kind of what I was saying earlier while you were having fire alarms go off. But it's all, politics is just good marketing.
Politics is marketing, and unfortunately, it's money. The candidates, I'm going up as mostly as a self-funded candidate at the moment, against very strongly funded Democratic and Republican parties. My opponents have millions of dollars behind them. They have with millions of dollars behind you, the outreach is easy. Oh my, one thing, obviously, social media at least gives us all an opportunity and all a voice. But I'm like, man, if I had the backing that these parties have, you put thousands of dollars behind posts, every single thing, everything sponsored, everything, every post, every advertisement is on steroids, right? So unfortunately, the two-party systems, that's the donor pool is very strong. And that's, what makes the party strong. Unfortunately, that's a hard thing to fix. We're not going to fix that, but one thing that at least everybody does have the opportunity now in today's age to at least have their voice, put it out there. And if it resonates enough with American people, then, there is the grassroots movement, I think, is easier to achieve now than ever before.
I think it would be easier for a YouTuber, for instance, to run a political campaign if they already have the draw,
Absolutely.
Like if you already have the network and the subscribers, and you're tapped into so many different other YouTubers and other like news networks and so on and so forth. So that would be the way I would do it.
If you're an influencer, you definitely have a good shot,
right? Like you already have the built-in foundation of what politicians run on. All you have to do is make the claims and say, this is what I want to do. And here you go. Your crowd will follow. So I expect to see politics change. I expect a big redirect where it's not people who are career politicians jumping into politics even more. I see influencers chiming in.
Popularity contests.
That's exactly what I made this claim just a few days ago, sir.
Yeah,
Let's
I mean,
see.
look, it's definitely advantage if you have a couple 100,000 followers on your social media accounts, no doubt about it.
No, absolutely. Millions.
Yeah, I mean,
Millions.
you still, as long as then, I think you still need substance behind what you're putting out, and hopefully people are smart enough. But yeah, I mean, that's a clear advantage, and those people with that following would be would have a good shot at getting elected to office if that's something that they desire. Sure, that's incredible.
Yeah, for sure. Or even if you don't want to and you just want to do it for funsies, you really could do it. Tom Carpenter says, Andy, key question. Be careful. This could change the trajectory of the campaign. Best pizza style and toppings.
Ooh. Man, I'm a supreme guy. I love pizza too. So pizza is probably my favorite food. If you had to have one food, man, I love pizza. Put me in.
Who could go wrong with that?
Supreme. Meat, pepperoni, peppers, onions, good stuff.
You just want everything, huh?
Mozzarella. Yeah, well, I'm a fan of red sauce pizza. I think pizza definitely needs to have 3 ingredients. I'm not a white pizza guy. I need marinara sauce and cheese on my pizza. Yeah, but pizza.
I mean, I enjoy a good veggie style pizza. It's that, but I also enjoy pepperoni, and I also enjoy the ham, the tomatoes, the olives, like everything.
No discrimination against our pizza. Yeah, we love all people. We love all
except those Hawaiian. Yeah, the pineapple.
Just not my favorite.
Pineapple weirdos. No, those are weirdos.
Oh, I might lose votes, but I once in a while I can go for a Hawaiian pizza.
You're fired. Ladies and gentlemen, I am shutting this show down right now.
It's usually if I've already had pizza during the week, and this is a second pizza of the week, then Hawaiian's an option.
Kind of like more of the dessert style pizza then, huh? Yeah, I'll take it.
I know, unpopular.
Fair enough. And then one more question came in. It is, would you support cameras in classrooms to hold teachers and students accountable for being properly educated?
Yeah, why not? I think cameras in classrooms. I don't see I don't see the harm in that. Sure, especially our public school systems that our tax dollars are going to. Public spaces, safe spaces. Sure, safe spaces, absolutely.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Well, I've got 4 fine friends sitting backstage. I think Omar was supposed to jump back there again, but they are going to come on and hang out with us. Let's see. Oh, and Calvin jumped back there too. All right, Ben, you got a kitty cat hanging out in front of the camera. Clay, Kraut, Ant, of course, Shaman and Calvin. Welcome, my friends. Let's go ahead. And remember kindly, folks, there was a reason why I didn't play our famous Gauntlet song, because we're not going into Bloodsport mode. We're here to ask Andy questions, have a conversation, and we're keeping the Bloodsport out of it. This is like Q&A time.
I appreciate that, Sarah, but if anybody has tough questions they feel they want to ask me,
they're going to ask tough questions. Yeah. They're just not going to be buttheads about it.
I want to answer a question real quick. That's kind of off topic, but I want to make sure I'm not tripping. This is going to seem morbid, but have any of you guys seen that old movie, It, like the Stephen King movie, It? Okay,
yes.
Clay is saying yes. Clay, tell me, Andy. Now, unfortunately, the blonde kid, he unalived himself. I think like 2001, but I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure Andy is that dude. Clay, you know what I'm talking about?
I haven't seen it. So
he played it. He also played in the Never Ending Story 2, and he played in another movie with Chuck Norris. Clay, you know who I'm talking about now, right? Tell me Andy don't look like that cat. A little bit. That's all I got for now, bro.
All right, fair enough. All right, Kraut wants to pass on his question. Clay, I know you're probably ready and locked and loaded for a question or comment to Andy. Go ahead.
Yeah, I even put on a nice shirt for this. Thank you, Andy. Yeah. Thank you, Andy, for coming up. Yeah, we're really appreciative here. We haven't done anything like this. Sarah just got back from Vegas doing her debate stuff, so this is really awesome. Weird
I
night.
didn't know that.
Hold on, Joe. Hold on. But yes, we did.
So yeah, it's really great to have someone doing this on the internet. Now, I've been to a town hall before, and I was actually able to speak to my congresswoman, which was really nice. I asked her some of the tough questions, and I don't know how much time I've got, but if it starts to get heavy, maybe we can come back around to me.
Sure,
whatever, Clay. Depending on how much time you and Sarah and everybody has. I know you talked a lot about your goals, the 3 particular goals. You mentioned foreign influence, public trust, and restore America. But I'd like to get right into public trust, particularly.
I knew you were going to go for that
one. You mentioned some backroom deal type stuff. That's going on. Term limits is something you'd like to see. I'd love to see it. I know a lot of people. We've had this conversation. Me and Ben on his channel. Other people here on the Tomato Show have had this conversation. Service to me seems to be something that a lot of people don't understand what it is. It's service, meaning that eventually you get tired because you're serving the people. But it seems that in that particular employment, it's not really supposed to be employment. It's compensated. It's not a paycheck, right? These things come into play, and it just doesn't seem that these people serving get very tired.
No. It's a problem. It's a problem.
So I hope that you do well in your campaign. I hope that you I think an independent individual is someone who's best for any position, someone who's not going to vote party line, someone who's going to put the stop in the gaps. But I am a police accountability specialist. Okay. I do government accountability. I do First Amendment activity. A lot of people recognize me as a First Amendment auditor. I'm sure you're familiar with what First Amendment auditing is. We go into the buildings. We make sure that people understand what press is. We understand what our First Amendment rights are. So first and foremost question I got to ask you, do you know the 5 elements to the First Amendment?
The 5 elements of, your First Amendment, your freedom of speech. So it's your, that is the, that's the expanded version. There's an expanded version of our freedom of speech. Giving the people the right of religion, speech, religion, speech.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one for people who don't study this stuff. It's tough because in school they're not teaching this. It's the education, right? Our education system is very poorly lacking in constitutional rights, constitutional law. And I'll go ahead and give them to you. See, I see you're struggling. That's okay. If you don't know, you don't know. That's okay. So it goes
2 out of 5, huh?
2 out of 5. Religion,
freedom is It's
religion, assembly, press, petition, and speech. And the easy way to remember that, you've probably heard it before, is RAPS. RAPPS. Religion, assembly,
RAPS. Okay.
Petition, press,
I love
and
you so
speech.
much, Clay.
So this is an easy way to remember it. It's actually in the right order. It's religion, speech, press, assembly, petition. Now that petition part, that is something where you actually can petition your government for redresses. That means you ask, petition, right? But usually it's on paper, so that's what the court's for. We go to our courts to make sure things are being done correctly. I want to get to the core of police accountability with you, okay?
Good.
I know that in Miami, you probably don't have quite as much out there in the ethos, in the press, about accountability, but I think that that's because in Florida, they have actually banned police oversight.
Okay. Well, Police accountability is important. One thing that our police department, again, I'm a local councilman here in North Bay Village. One thing that they were really pressing that our police chief has done is this a police accreditation program? Are you familiar with police accreditation program? So it's basically an education system that all the officers, need to have. That basically just enforces that they know the law and that they're enforcing it correctly, right? And to my, when I asked them, I wasn't sure why they were making such a big deal about it. Something like not less than 10% of the police departments actually have this accreditation program. So I asked them, do you think this is something that we could bring on a federal level and he said, absolutely, and it's basically, it's one way that I think that we can have to improve public safety and proper police enforcement, because it is important. But yeah, to have proper police enforcement, and I think one thing that we can look into is this police accreditation program, and making this not because it's completely optional that our police department has to go through this accreditation program. But that if it became a mandatory thing for governments to have, I think it would help this.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I like anything that we can produce as a department regulation, regulating the government, right? So we have kind of like regulations on the people. That's the criminal code and the civil code. But then we also have the regulatory problems that we have with the agencies, and we want to regulate our government. So that's great. That's perfect. That's wonderful. But going with the police oversight right now, the only oversight that's allowed in the departments is IA, so internal investigations, right? Or IA.
Internal affairs.
Internal affairs. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. I lost it too. Like I went confused.
So with that, do you think that it would be possible to get something on the ballot for? And what I mean by ballot, I mean the congressional ballot for ensuring that states like Florida can't ban oversight. I'll give you the reason why. So right now, Florida is one of the hardest states to get records from. The reason for that, obviously you have, privacy redactions and all that. That's not a problem for me. I love privacy redactions. That's very important. But if something's currently under investigation, the department at will can refuse to give out that record. I think that creates more of a non-transparent attitude within the government. Now, I know that this seems to it sounds like it's coming from a lefty standpoint, but it's not. It's a very centered standpoint. Where I'm at, I actually sit center right. I am for rule of law. I love our Constitution. I love that we have rule of law in this country. And I think that not only the people should follow it, but also those in governmental power should follow it. So when I hear that a state, and I'm from Florida, I'm actually from Florida. I'm in New Mexico now. Awesome. I've been through 26 states. I've been through every eastern state except for Kentucky. I've seen, what happens with the police if they're allowed to go unchecked. So because of that, I sit center right because I want rule of law. I want the Constitution. So that right is like, okay, obviously I need to sit on the side of the law. So I'm not for defunding the police. I don't want to see that, but I do want to see accountability. I want to see records. I'm for body cam. I love body cam. And when you have departments ruling IA doesn't have to release this stuff, it just doesn't sit well with the people. How do you feel about getting that on the ballot?
I agree, but I think Congress can only take a look at federal law enforcement, right? So most of our local municipalities that is governed by the state of Florida, and that states control their law enforcement. So it might be more of a state issue when we're looking at the accountability of our local police departments. But that absolutely for any type of a federal officer to have some type of accountability to there is is absolutely something that I would support.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. And just to kind of, because I want to give other people time, and maybe we can go back to some of these other things. I really want to make sure that it's understood why I think it's definitely possible. You could still come up with a bill. AI. I love AI. I love that you brought up AI. You could, track through AI the ways that this intricacy could actually be implicated, or whatever the word is here. But ultimately, the idea here is that
implement it.
There it is. Joe, you're good, bro. When it comes to the actual bill itself, the idea here is that the states cannot do any. It's the 10th Amendment. It's the separation of powers clauses, right? So the federal is over the state. With the state, if the state is unwilling to give the people their rights, right, then the federal government actually does have to step in, right? This is why we saw the 60s and 70s era come around, where people of color were absolutely, their homes were being destroyed, all that stuff. The federal government stepped in and said, nope, you got to do certain things. Civil rights is an issue here.
Right.
I don't see the releasing of information as a civil rights issue, except that it is, to me, a little bit discriminatory when you say, well, we're going to release this particular body cam because we don't feel that it's a big deal, but then over here on this one, we're going to withhold this, right? So it seems like there's a uneven matching here with certain stories that we hear about versus others. Well, and if all records are made available, then there's transparency everywhere. We don't have to worry about whether, and then you actually, what you do by doing that, by the way, is you actually free up the courts.
Yeah. No, I think body cams on officers is something we have here now locally in our municipality, and I think it adds more safety to the officer and to the citizens, and it brings the accountability that you're looking for. And I think we're seeing more of this with the technology that we have now, and the funding for it and the support for it is something that could bring more accountability to law enforcement, and it just it's going to increase public safety and transparency, and I think that's something we all want to see. But again, I think there is some dangers with the federal government overseeing local municipalities and that needs to be. I mean, we've seen some examples of this, I think, that have been very questionable with the National Guard lately, and some questions of federal powers potentially abusing its power over local enforcement. So something to be mindful there, that, sometimes there maybe is some limits to the federal power when it comes to local police, but the accountability and the oversight with body cams is something that I see no downside to, and I think it provides gain more safety to the citizens and to officers.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm actually in Albuquerque, so yeah, okay. the whole what is it, federal oversight thing happened here not too long ago. They've had national troops on the ground for quite a while. The Medina, the chief here, just retired. I don't know why, but maybe it's got something to do with me asking about his oath of office not being signed, which I think is a problem. But regardless of that, I'm going to hand it over. Before I do, like I said, I appreciate you being up here, and I really appreciated your stance on war. Your stance on war is probably very much aligned with mine. I really don't need to ask too many questions about that one. I think diplomacy is the best way.
Thanks, Clay, and great shirt.
Thank you.
It is a nice shirt. You look very nice, Clay. Thank you. And let's go ahead and move on to you, my friend. Question, comment for Andy?
Thank you, Sarah. I heard earlier something that you were wanting to push for using LLM summaries for bills. Did I hear that correctly?
Well, this was a brief discussion point when we're talking about how lengthy some of these bills have become, and how that it's hard to digest, and that most of our people voting yes or no on these bills probably don't understand the full weight of what they're passing. So it was it was just a talk point and something that came to mind. I don't know if that's the best way. I don't think it's, obviously if you're summarizing something, you could be leaving out something very important. So it's open to AI's interpretation there of what's the key factor. So it just a talking point. The problem that I think we're having with a lot of these bills is the length of them, and how lobbyists are able to get their interest passed into things that are hidden in the page 900 of these bills. So.
Yeah, I'd agree. The core problem is the length of the bills, trying to push all these big omnibus bills through, and they've become so massive that it's just not possible to expect anybody to read through it. I hope if you do get there and you are able to stay in office long enough that you can work towards perhaps pushing to limit that type of legislation, so that we're pushing for like single issues with bills instead of these omnibus packages. My concern with the LMs, though, was if you were relying on them, you've got to be very careful with their hallucinations, especially if it's on topics you're not perhaps as familiar with as whatever you went to school for. I don't know how much you use them currently, but I use them a lot, and I've often had to do double takes on them because it'll give me summaries. So I'm like, no, that's not how that works, because it'll be on a subject I'm familiar with. I'm very afraid of people making legislative decisions based off these things and not even being aware that these things can happen and they may be at risk.
Good point. Yeah, and it is. I mean, nobody is an expert on every topic, right? So I mean, it's important to have a good if put into office, it's important to have a good team around you. When we even on our local level, every time we have a commission meeting, where we have the things that come before us, we have a briefing where we have our village manager, our village attorneys are on call, and we can ask questions and reference to other people, and I think this needs to be the same thing whenever you're voting on any bill, to have a good understanding of it, and not that anybody's going to know anything, but to be around, to have a good team around you is essential as well.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, with, one thing that, AI, an AI search can do, like what we had mentioned before, is, if there is something specific that you're interested in a bill, perhaps it could be highlighted, with what you're looking for.
It is good for searching through documents, but you just need to be specific about what you want. But a summary is a little different, because a summary, you're asking it to digest whatever you're feeding it, process it, and then return a result summarizing the contents of whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that's where you can run into problems. If you're just looking for something inside of something, it works very well. If you're asking for full summaries, especially of, lack of a better term, esoteric, like if the more obscure something is, the more likely it is to cause hallucinations. It's why ALMs hallucinate a lot when it comes to things related to law and certain types of research, because the amount of available information is very sparse or low confidence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the public trust Slack, every bill will be uploaded to the website. Voters get to read, they research and read time. They use the AI to search for the words that are important to them. And they can vote with their unique ID through the blockchain. In voting in with full transparency of the people. The result is that the American people who voted will have their will done. And in turn, it's a more transparency to the people that you're serving. And this is one of the key components of our campaign that we'd like to see introduced to America.
You want to do voting through blockchain?
We want to open it up so that we're giving the word, that it allows the public of our district to participate in decisions that are being made. As we mentioned, we elect.
Is this with a? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's okay.
Is that like with a public ledger though? Because that would expose people's voting, like who they're voting for. We try to protect that.
Yeah, I mean the blockchain technology. I guess you don't know. You wouldn't know necessarily. Everybody would get one. You wouldn't know who is who, right? So I mean, there is maybe some way that we can keep privacy on who's voting, but you could see the results of what the district wanted without necessarily seeing who specifically wanted that.
Well, I mean, Florida's already got a really good system for counting votes. Like they're always beating the pants off every other state when it comes to counting votes for presidential elections.
Yeah,
I guess they learned their lesson after the Bush Gore incident.
There's been some recounts in Florida, but this has been a while ago.
But my point is they're fast. I mean, I don't think speed's been the issue in Florida.
Yeah,
maybe in the more municipal elections. I'm just talking about like in the federal elections. I don't know about like local elections that much. Anyways, I think you've answered my questions, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you, Ant. Shaman, I know you're up here. Did you want to say anything, or do you want to hold?
How's it going?
What?
Yeah, I think everyone's getting a little confused. The blockchain concept is not about Andy trying to put AI into Congress, right? The point of it is that the voters are going to have a unique ID, and they vote for or against the bill based off of their ability to read the bill, right? So we have access to the bills in real time. They can use AI to search through the bill however they decide to, then they make a vote. Andy, through the website, will be able to see the tally of those votes for or against, and in Congress, he votes. So the concept is that this type of transparency should go viral, so to speak, and everyone should demand this of their congressman and senator. It's about transforming America and putting it forth by one person leading by example, right? So it takes a unique person to want to run on a federal level to implement the solution to keep it transparent and then simultaneously put term limits, right? It takes a unique type of person. Get it? It's pretty, because I think people thought we were talking about let's put AI in Congress. I think that's the answer.
Yeah, no, I understand the blockchain concept. All right. Did you want to add anything else in there, Shaman, or do you?
No, I think this is going to be great. I'm curious more to hear what everyone else says,
All right, perfect. All right, I'll pass it on. Calvin, so happy to see you up here, my friend, because you do stand, I think, more in the Democratic position based on things I've heard you say. And I think some shots were fired at the Democrats backstage when the fire drill was going. So I'm wondering if we'll find some disagreement here. Calvin, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Andy. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to a candidate. This is special. As far as me, yeah, I'm glad you brought that. That was actually my first questions. First of all, my questions are going to be kind of softball questions. I consider myself an independent, but I lean a lot with the Democrats or whatever. And I was curious. I was actually finding it intriguing that you consider yourself independent. I choose to be one because I find myself, I have a lot of Republican values as well as I have some Democratic values. So kind of leaves me in the middle, and I don't like defending politicians' bad behavior. So I'm curious as to why you are independent.
Yeah, I think it's almost impossible for any person to have all stances in line with one party, right? And the parties have, but unfortunately, that's where the power stands, and that those, it's become more and more far right and more far left. It seems like that is in control. So just being able to work with all people to get on both sides, and there are many Republican stances that I'd support, and there are also many Democratic stances that I support. So I've just I've always been an independent. I've never switched. I've always had it's always been confusing to me why you had to be, just one or the other, why it's black and white. One thing cool about our local government that I'm elected is it's a nonpartisan government, and because of that, I think in the last 4 years, we've been able to get so much done. It doesn't matter if it's environmental with our, where stormwater, our seawalls, or, if it comes to our development policies and economic growth, we're able to work together because I think we're looking out for the best interest of our city and not worrying about the best interest of our party or political posturing. We're just looking for results, and I think, putting independents in office, they would be more focused on results.
Yeah, to me, I think independent candidates are stronger than, say, your
So
Republicans or Democrats. To follow that up, are you like consider yourself like more so it's like in the middle, or do you kind of find yourself identifying more so with one party or not?
um I think economically conservative, socially liberal is a common
Hmm.
phrase I've heard before. I can relate with.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, I think it's again, I think this narrative is finally changing that, um, I think many people have always said, "Oh, you're voting for an independent is a waste of a vote." It's not, but independent voices need to stand up and to stop making it seem like they're the minority in the election when I think something like 20 or
Yeah.
30% of people now are actually registered as independent,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
it, it is a third party that isn't
Yeah.
considered a party,
Exactly.
um, right. So I think we're headed in that direction, and that's I've always just felt if I can my role is to be a part of this movement. We still don't have a lot of most districts don't have an independent running for them.
Mhm.
And I don't know what state you are, but if you looked up to see if you even have an independent running. So there still is a lack of good independent candidates. I think you're going behind the parties, and that's there's a lot of money behind the parties, which is why the candidates are being drawn into there. But just to as more people stand up and have the voice of saying, I'm not working for any party, I'm just working for America, and this is what I stand for. That's eventually what we all want to see. And I think we're headed in the right direction. Not left, not right. We're going forward. So that's the stance.
Okay. And I got just one last quick question that had to do with the term limit. And I wrote
Mhm.
this down so I wouldn't fumble it. So in the private sector, we value tenure employees because losing experience, talent hurts the organization. If we implement strict term limits, we risk losing highly capable leaders and politicians just as they master the complexity of their jobs. Is there a middle ground that allows us to keep top political talent in place while building stronger guardrails to prevent the corruption that oftentimes
Mhm.
comes with long term power?
Good point, Calvin. I mean, yeah, look, experience is important. I think 8 years when you're running a 2-year term and being elected 4 times is the ability to stay in power for a long enough time to be effective and to pass good policies and to achieve results. Any longer than that, I think is when you risk that 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 people are working for the system that keeps them in power, not for the American people. So I do think that ultimately congressional limits does more good than harm. Of course, there might be some few examples where yes, you are removing good people from power if you add term limits, but I think that's what we need. Then we need to put other good people in their place. New ideas and there's America has a lot of great candidates that can step up, and we need more people to continually fill shoes and seats that become vacant.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Calvin. All great questions. Mr. Joe Cool, I love you so much. What do you got for us, sir?
Wow. First of all, what you got from me, this was great. I'm benefiting. And going after Calvin, that was fucking like, I feel like, I don't know, like God was in the room. Calvin took it so serious. He was even like nervous and shit. I'm thinking he wants to be a politician. It tells me so much about his character. He wants to make a difference and all of that shit. That little shit, I learned more about him in them 2 seconds. And Calvin got dude to open up like he was guarded with brick now. Fucking when he said that shit about that term limits, he swallowed it down like, fuck it, I'm gonna say it. I thought it was great. I'm so glad that I went after those two. All right. And I don't even know your name, guy. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm the guy who, you don't want to bring company home because Joe might be there drinking in the front room. I'm that guy. I don't drink, but I'm that guy. What's your name? I'm sorry.
Me, Andy Daro.
Andy. All right. Nice to meet you, Andy. I really like what you said, especially about that letting the people have their own say. So you ain't said, and I'm highly critical. I don't like surface conversation. You haven't said nothing that I could really jump on. So I want to ask you a couple quick questions, get to know you, man. And I really can't stand politicians, right? So it's a good thing you're independent. I'd be having many questions for you. Good thing you're independent, and it looks like you want to be your own man. So I gotta ask and see where you are. What about? Let's start with the gun rights, man. What do you think? Everybody gets a gun?
Of course, I support people's right to have a.
You back to that politician shit, pimp? Be nice. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, you support the amendment to the right to bear arms. Of course, I think that's a choice. I'm okay. I'm okay with with some, that's a founding principle in America but no, but I think some limits is okay. Like is it every Americans' right to have an automatic weapon, to just be able to buy that? Maybe, there's some questions that could be open to a fair debate and talking points, but the right to bear arms is, of course.
Oh God, I made you so uncomfortable. I almost regret asking that. Nah. The next one might not be any easier. Weed. And this is the question. Is the guy who arrested me, and I got arrested when I was a kid, but this is made up. The guy who arrested me for smoking weed, didn't he do an evil thing, and shouldn't we punish him?
No, I mean, I'm for the legalization of marijuana. I think we should. There's. I mean, the state of Colorado made something like $10 billion last year. That's another funding source that we could put to, in my opinion, into much better, needed infrastructure, whatever support. I mean, we could support down payment assistance for people with, $10 billion is a lot of money. So weed to me is not a federal offense by any means, and I would support the legalization.
Very good. My question was what? Okay, let me rephrase. Is that guy a bad guy who arrested me? Because this leads to my next question, which will be my last.
Is there a bad guy who arrested you for marijuana?
Is he a bad guy? Is my question.
I mean, if you're following, I mean, if that's what the law is, right? So, I mean, the guy who arrested
the law determines what's good and bad.
It returned what I guess the law officer is supposed to do. But if you're asking me on my stance on it, and
I know the law I can read too. I'm asking you, what you think. Was he a bad man? I didn't ask you for your stance. You gave me that the first time.
I mean, look, on a generalization, no, I don't think a man would be bad for arresting somebody because the law is there, but that law needs to be changed. We have too many people. I mean, weed should not be a crime.
That was my last. I'll let you off the hook. We got plenty of time later.
That's an easy one. That's an easier one for me than the gun policy. So, no problem there.
the last part that I wanted to comment on a little bit is all of this leads to why I don't like politicians, period. I think it's all, everybody gets in there and wants to control other people my way. Why would I like you? I got to see if you line up with me, and then you got me. I'm worse than no better than the left, right, and so and so. You got to leave people alone. That's what I am saying. So when we get in, when it opens up a bit, I'll be ready for when I get to say something, man. I want your hands off of me. I don't want someone who thinks he can be in there a leader. I don't need leaders. I need public employees, servants, followers who do what I say. That's why I like what you said about the voting thing. What we get to do it. But I don't need nobody in there talking about what type of gun I can have. You can talk that nuclear talk all you want, but that's just rhetoric. Can I get that AR-15? It says so in the Constitution. And don't dance when I ask you. Right? All right. You guys.
All right. Well, and I also on this, we should shrink the size of, government. We don't need to big government to oversee everything that we do, right? I mean, the government is supposed to be there to work and support the people. So yeah, limited size government, I think is a good thing.
All right. And Brick, you did well. You covered all the transparency shit, which I would have covered. So good job.
Cheers. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. For the win. Welcome back, my friend. Go ahead. Question or comment for Andy.
Yeah, I got a couple here, Sarah. Thank you. And Andy, thank you very much for coming up here. It's awesome to be able to have people that are running to be able to come up and just chit chat with regular people. So thank you. My first question is, I kind of did a little bit of a bio search on you, and I saw that you did play soccer and you were a former captain on your team. What position did you play?
I was midfielder.
Ah, okay. I was a centerman myself.
Nice. Watching some World Cup now?
I am, yeah. That was leading into my next question. And I'm assuming you're rooting for America, right?
Wholeheartedly, yeah. I watched
Wonderful.
the game last night. A little disappointing result, but I think it's okay. We won the group, and we're looking forward to Bosnia game next week, and where it really matters.
Yep. So if it wasn't America, who do you like in the World Cup otherwise?
In the World Cup? Okay. I mean, my next country, I'm Italian ancestry, but that's not an option in this World Cup. Who do I like, or who do I?
Well, I'm saying, who's your favorite, to win it aside from us, of course?
I think France is the strongest. If you're looking at the strongest nation, the team in it right now, England, Germany, Spain, they all have strong teams, all a good chance. But I do, I believe that we can win. I think that the Americans have the best team they've ever had. They've been getting a lot of support. The World Cup is in America, so if there's ever been a chance, with this team, they're young, they're fast, I think they're athletic. I think we pose a good chance. So I'm July 1st. I'll be watching the game and cheering for America all the way.
Very cool. So last question regarding sports: if you are to win your race, would we be seeing you potentially in a congressional baseball game, making any fun catches?
Sure. If there was a congressional baseball game that I could participate in, absolutely.
We need congressional boxing. That's what we really need.
I'll take up in that too. I've always, all athletics. It was a big part of my youth growing up, and I still support, and it's still a part of my lifestyle now.
Hey, Sarah, I was asking Andy. I said, we need to bring back legal public duels, and he said that's too much. So you see, he's centered.
No. We totally need to bring him back.
I agree, but he doesn't. He says too much.
It'll bring the real men who want to actually stand for what they believe in out into
It'll
the world.
stop that troll shit real fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Omar, I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
bringing duels back.
Yeah, legal mutual combat federally. We have federal safe zones, mutual combat. No one has to pay for the funeral. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. All right, for the win, back to you, sir.
All right, so we'll get into the nitty gritty. So I kind of looked up into the 24th congressional district that you're in there. it seems like predominantly it's been kind of Democrat ran for the
Mhm.
majority of the time. So as an independent, it looks like Gonzalez, she's not Trump endorsed. As an independent, would that be something that you would consider asking the president for and helping your chances?
Yeah, I think to have any shot in my district, I have to win the Republican vote and then be able to get, to be able to get some centrist. It is, yeah, your research is correct. It's considered a Democratic shoo-in. If you read the Miami Herald or whatever they say about the district, the Republicans do not have a strong candidate running in there. So I think there is opportunity to pull from the right, but I also, you have to be able to help. And I've been asked this, how do I think I can help? Well, I think my strengths and my background, in housing and what I've shared about property insurance is really what the people want. To be able to help deliver results for this district is something I think I can do. I mean, I know I'm in real estate background. I know how to get real estate done, and I know how to, deliver these results. If given a chance for my district and opportunity, I think I would deliver for the people of 24. So I hope I, get the opportunity to do so, but I won't be able to do so without at least earning some Democratic support. So it is essential to have to be able to appeal to both sides.
I agree.
The
And
independent's like
Oh,
24%, and then the Democrats like 60. Sorry.
let For the Win have his time.
Sorry.
yeah, I'm pulling for you, Andy. You seem like a cool cat, and
Thank you.
you got a long hill battle against these Democrats down in that district. So, I think it'd be awesome if you got a Trump endorsement. I mean, he doesn't generally do that to independents, but you seem like a very strong candidate, maybe stronger than Gonzalez potentially. But I think that'd be a goal. It would go a long way for your chances. So appreciate your time,
Yeah.
Andy. Thank you.
Thank you. On that, I have, I have good relationships as a local municipality with the Republican representative in our district. I don't have any, straight connections to Trump, but I do think there are Republican endorsements that I can win in our district that could help, cross over and get Republican support. But again, we're gonna have to get both sides of the aisle to win, and really. I think it's that centrist pull that has to, disassociate themselves with the party and start voting people instead of party.
Yep. And when it comes to that endorsement, all you have to do is ask. That's all you
Okay.
got to do. So
Good advice.
appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Sometimes we are afraid to just ask for things. You're right. That is how you get them.
I'm not.
Yep.
That's how I got here. I just said, may I? Mr. Balderson, and then I do have one more backstage, which we'll switch him out with Ant here in a moment. But Mr. Balderson, question or comment, please.
Yeah, I liked a lot of what you had to say. You seem like a good guy, but I expected as much since Omar's working with you. Omar's a pretty brilliant guy, so I would assume that you would be pretty good if he's gonna deal with you. Would you be willing to try and spearhead constitutional amendment that would get rid of Citizens United and limit campaign funding?
It would be
because you'd have to overturn Citizens United at the Supreme Court, so you're going to need to do that constitutionally.
It would. Yeah, I mean, that would be, it would achieve so much. I mean, first of all, like I was saying, it's very hard for independents to win these elections because it's just the money, right? And it's just the powers that you're going up against is it's an uphill battle. I mean, ending the foreign influence would be the first step in that, and then ending it altogether, I think would be an admirable thing to push forward. So I am currently self-funding my campaign, as I mentioned before, for the large part, and don't even want to ask for a lot of favors. I'm not out there asking for money, and if others would do the same, I think it would. I think we would get better candidates than just the money and the influence. They put the money puts their candidates in place, and we've seen that in primaries now. I mean, I think someone, Thomas Massey lost a primary race where there was something like $30 million spent against him, right? So I mean, you can buy seats. I mean, that is a possibility, right? So I mean, it's I don't think that's the people's will. I think that's the money.
Yeah, it is possible to go against that in today's world. I think social media, grassroots campaign, obviously mainstream media is never going to be in your side. Jesse Ventura back in what was that, about 98, ran a similar campaign that was grassroots and off very little of his own money. When he became governor of Minnesota, he did that off very little money and no backing whatsoever. Would you so the bill you were talking about with the thing you were talking about with limiting the bills, Rand Paul has often brought up in Congress. He calls it the One Subject at a Time Act. And this is something that he receives very little support in. Would that be something that you would want to work with him on? He already has it where obviously, it stops the omnibus, it stops adding in everything else. Once you get down to the brass tacks of what just that singular bill under that name is, they're usually not that complicated. Exactly. They make you muddy the water with everything else.
I would support that absolutely. Same, it's restore America. I mean, that's Ron Paul is one of our, I think he is one of our strong leaders. I mean, he's an independent thinker. I would get behind that and support that wholeheartedly. Yes.
All right, and then just lastly, you got pretty squirrely about 2A. And that's pretty interesting. You hold a lot of very pro people and pro constitutional ideals, but your example, that you understand that the 2A was in order to combat an oppressive government. So if we have to have pea shooters and they don't, that defeats the entire shall not be infringed thing that was written in there.
Right. No, we support the right to bear arms. It's the main that made me a little squirrely, and where my thought is just, it is when we have, there has been an issue of mass shootings in America that I think is undeniable. I don't know what if there is a solution for that. So that's only what made me unsquirrely.
I understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, I just wish there was some, but it's it's not the gun,
well,
it's the people, right? I mean, what is this? I mean, is there a solution for it? I don't know,
a little bit of this is just that trickery of how to lie with numbers. So when they count mass shooters, the vast majority of those are murder suicides. And so then that gets counted in the mass killing statistics. So it looks way more overbloated. Most people automatically assume school shooter or something like that, when those are very limited cases. And when then you start isolating it down to those limited cases, then we do start noticing disturbing trends, like every single one of them was on heavy psychiatric meds, things like that. These people were already having issues, already being watched by the government, already being interacted with by the FBI. You can look at this case over and over and over. So there's definitely things that could be done. We could see what's going on, but disarming the American public, that definitely is not the thing. And when you look at countries that have taken away their rights, when you take away the gun crime goes down. That's true, obviously, but every other crime goes up. It's in America, and you don't necessarily want to walk into somebody's home because you might find a 12 gauge up against your nose, and in places where they don't have guns, that's not a problem. You don't worry about those things. Hell, in England, you don't even people can't even carry knives to protect themselves, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, my squirmish response was not anything that I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms. That's it just came down to it makes me uncomfortable to think of of what I just shared before. I mean, Benjamin, maybe you're saying maybe the numbers are taking out of proportion, but when you look at America does it have a gun violence problem? I mean, it's a fair discussion. That's all I was saying. But it's not
Definitely a fair discussion.
The solution isn't taking guns away from people, but just it is it is a it's a more frequent tragedy in America maybe than it should be. And if there was a solution to it, that's all I'm thinking. But I don't have it. I don't have that. Mental health is a big thing about it. I think, Ben, you were kind of touching that too, right? I mean, it does seem like most of the shooters are have some deeper problems that that if we could help, we just need to help. We need to love all people. That would cure a lot too, right? I mean, that's the solution. If more people had all these outlets and solutions and support systems around them, we would probably see less of this crime. But it's not. It's not in any. I wouldn't be in any stance to get rid of the Second Amendment or anything like that. So I hope my response wasn't taking with that consideration.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your answer and your time, and I definitely agree there's a mental health crisis in this country that needs to be addressed. There's no doubt about that. We had just as many guns per capita, 40 years ago, but didn't have this problem that we're having. So that's obviously there's a mental health issue. Thank you for giving me your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. And Adam, welcome back, my friend. Go ahead with your question or comment, sir.
Thank you for letting me back on the panel, Sarah. Sorry for my call the other day. My question to you, sir, it's great to talk to an actual political candidate for once than the TV. I have a habit of yelling at you guys. What are you going to do to combat socialism? Because I think that is the biggest problem in America on the rise right now for the Democratic Party.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm a capitalist all the way, right? So, I mean, if you look at my background in my industry, I support small business.
I don't mean to cut you off. I did some homework.
So this is where I support our economic growth, and I think this is essential. So, I mean, these are some of the fundamentals of what I stand for. I mean, of course, socialism, there isn't really any successful example of socialism that has worked, right? I don't think so. In many ways, I do think I have, maybe I have more, definitely more in line with the Republican growth on the economy. But just was swearing allegiance to no party, ever, so it's really an issue by issue. And there are plenty of things I think that the Republican Party does not get right. So it's, it's an issue by issue, but, the opposite of socialism. I mean, capitalism is the only way, and that will continue to be the way of America, and how I think America has grown to become the superpower it is now. We got to keep it that way.
I absolutely agree, but you're also in a very difficult position as an independent, because not only do you got to compete or contend with Republicans that might not agree with you, but you're going to have these extreme Democrats that are definitely not going to agree with you. And I think that's going to be your biggest uphill battle. Now, I don't think all Democrats are evil people, but the ones that are winning right now, they don't care for America in any sense of the word.
So
that's where my question really lies: is what are you going to do to try to keep the balance?
I mean, we're gonna support economic growth. I mean, building, economic, has been the core pillars of where I've been in my local commission. I've been one of the most spoken, ambassadors for our development here and for our economic growth. And I want to take that on to a grander scale with the district. So it's and supporting, policies that I said before too. And we're limiting the government, and we're supporting the private sector, and we're putting policies in place that help the private sector. I mean, I think that's what we need. That's anti-socialism right there, right? I mean, that's government making policies to make a stronger private sector. That's what we need. We need the government to be there to make small business owners stronger, to make entrepreneurs stronger, to make companies stronger, not the opposite way around, not for the government to gain power of these businesses and development. So of course, 100% there with you. Capitalism over socialism any day.
Oh, for sure. My last question, and I got to go. I just wanted a quick chance to talk to you. Is would you reject an endorsement from Trump if he did offer it, given the stigmata that will come with it?
No, I wouldn't reject it. Of course not. But at the same time, I also wouldn't reject an endorsement from Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. So if they want to say that they get behind me, sure. Thank you. So I would welcome. I would welcome that endorsement if it was a possibility. I mean, it would be awesome to see a lead figure in the Republican Party or the Democratic Party endorse an independent candidate, right? I think that would be a true testament for their character. I don't know if we would see it. I'm just trying to remove myself from that. But, these people, like I had mentioned before, we'll see. I mean, I have a representative who's a very good friend of mine. I mean, we hang out. We've worked together. We're good friends. Would he even endorse me? I don't know, because, he has a party, and there's a Republican candidate, and, you're going against the system, right? That's how they keep their strength, by staying together and doing things together. And if you break from the party, they break from you. So let's see. I would welcome endorsements from officials on Democrats or Republicans. If anybody, had the mindset and openness to endorse an independent candidate, then I would say that person is okay. I think they're open-minded, and they're also, maybe they're okay. They're registered with the party for whatever reason, but they're strong enough candidate to welcome a free thinker if they can get behind them.
Well, I hope you make it. We need more open-minded people in government. I think that we've got very closed-minded, really just everyone's in their own camp kind of thing, and nobody can come in the middle to at least meet each other halfway and have a discussion. Not that we have to agree, but just to have a conversation. I think that's the biggest issue with politics today, is everybody's so tribal with everything. So I really appreciate what you're trying to do, and I hope you succeed and don't fall into the traps of politics, because it's murky waters. They don't call it a swamp for nothing.
Exactly. I like I said, I would accept the endorsement, but I'm not for sale. So we're not going to just take endorsement money if they're.
I really respect that, though.
Yeah.
I also wanted one last thing to Sarah. Thank you again, not just for your service, but for allowing me on the panel. Hello, everybody. Hope to do it again. But I gotta go. I just really glad I caught a chance to say what I needed to you today. So thank you again, Sarah. Thank you, sir. You guys have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Have a good night. And I can bring Ant back up. And what I'm gonna do is I've got about 40 minutes, and then I'm actually going to bed. I haven't slept since yesterday. So I'll allow you guys to open up the floor. I can be incentivized to go longer, but it's going to take some extra incentivization. Okay. And you know what keeps me going awake and making more coffee. Now, what we'll do is we will go into open panel, open floor. I'm all about everybody asking their questions, so on and so forth. But as I said before, I'd like it to be respectful. It's not Bloodsport. We're not there tonight. Please don't make me go there tonight, and don't make me have to yell at you, because I'm not in the mood and I'm incredibly tired. So Croc comes in with a big 10. He says, support to the channel. I'm for body cams, but they aren't cheap. I'm willing to do that, knowing taxes will go up slightly for the cost. Are you, Clay, or anyone else? Clay, you're being called out, my love.
Yes. personally, I don't care where how much money. Like I learned in 2008 through 2010 that the bailouts it really opened my eyes for the banking system and what's really happening. Geneva, the World Bank, all that craziness. It's crazy. So like especially I'd like to point this out for the candidate on the screen as well. I know that he's a financial guy. He's into real estate. That's his thing, right? So I'm sure that he's familiar with the banking system and a lot of the challenges with being conservative in that nature, because I know Kraut's conservative. But personally, I don't care how much money is that you spend as long as you're doing the job correctly. But what that means is that you're not overspending, right? So whatever the body cams cost, yes, but don't charge me more than it costs.
Sarah,
any one lawsuit would cover those body cams that they
It would
ended up
also be a
paying
lot
for.
cheaper than the wars were.
Just
Sarah,
one lawsuit.
Sarah, after you ask everybody this question, I assume normally you do that. And if you do that, I would like to expand on this further after you ask everybody's input on this. God damn, I don't know how to talk tonight.
Are you talking about on the body cam?
Yes. The question is, I'm for body cams, but they aren't cheap. I'm willing to do that, knowing taxes will go up slightly for the cost. Is anyone else in agreement with this?
Yeah, you can kick in at any time when she read one of those, man. And I was kicking in with the lawsuits that these police have to pay. Body cams would have, or at least could have prevented that. Even one of them would pay for any township's body cam. And money is not a factor if you look at it that way.
Well, I would say that the war on terror was $300 million a day average for 20 years. So probably it would only cost about 2 days of our international wars to cover all body cams for all police officers, both local and federal. I would say 2 days of no foreign wars, probably. But I'm not a mathematician.
And I would say that the militarized equipment that the police have been getting, rather than looking like fucking Barney Fife going out there looking like Rambo, they could maybe hawk that to some, civilians that want toys and use that to pay for it.
Yeah. There was a story today about some guys, some SWAT team went to this 78-year-old grandmama's house, knocked the door down with battering rams and all of that shit because of Find My iPhone thing there. And they were like, they had to justify all this equipment and Bearcats and shit they got. Yeah.
Well, if you ever walk around with a gun, right? Like if you walk around with a gun, you have a gun. So you're like thinking like if you walk around, for example, with a bag of candy, you're thinking about eating candy 100 times, 200 times a day, right? So you walk around with a gun. So these guys are sitting there training SWAT with all this military equipment sitting on their ass. So as soon as there's a call, they like load them up, I understand, but at the same time, not as a citizen, that's like bullshit.
Now, I do want to recognize as well that Andy obviously wants to represent his voters, right? And his voters in the 24th district in Florida, they're going to tell him, one thing, and I want him to honor what he's being elected for, right? So his voters are going to say exactly what they want him to do. With that said, there is a morality, there is an ethics, there is a principles to what it is that he's being elected for, right? And primarily that's the Constitution. So if we're talking about the Constitution and the people's rights, and this is why I brought up the accountability thing and Florida banning the ability for cities to make police oversight boards. I mean, I don't personally feel like the police oversight boards do as much as I wish they
They're
could.
pretty worthless, yeah.
But they do get that body cam.
Yeah,
they
better
do
than
get that.
nothing, yeah.
Did anybody else have an answer to Kraut's question? If not, I wanted to let him expand on it the way he wanted to. All right, go ahead, Kraut.
Yeah, so basically when I brought that up in the chat, because Clay and Andy were talking about it, you got to put me and Andy next to each other so people can see the resemblance, Sarah. But So I put
Doesn't
that in
look
the chat.
anything like him.
I gotta
So-
see this guy.
I put,
Like,
I
Not
put that in the
even, not
chat.
even close, crowd.
He's got a
Not
much-
even close.
Andy's got a much more pronounced chin.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna take it off. Anyway,
Andy looks like a grown ass man.
I was
Yeah.
wondering
Well,
this whole time why Trout had a boy band picture up on his freaking thing.
I see. That's me now. That's supposed to be me, man.
Yeah, not even
Yeah.
close. Crowd, I think you need to get some glasses, or maybe if you have some already, get them fixed because you
Yeah,
are so
maybe.
far off.
That's funny.
It's not even close.
But
yeah. Go ahead.
yeah,
with
I'm
your
gonna
Could be
change
a
it.
worse. It could be a worse photo. I'm not offended.
thought.
But yeah, so there's some people in the chat saying that no more taxes or body cams aren't needed just to be lawfully. So I guess, Andy, to really ask you a question, because in today's modern age, our politicians are our representative for taxes. I'm pretty sure. So like I believe taxes for roads, schools, body cams, like I just said, and I know other like I said, people in the chat are saying no more taxes. Like could you name a couple other things that you would tax as a representative besides like schools and cameras, like I just stated, if you could?
What you would tax? I mean, look, I think I'm also support for low tax. Of course, one of the things that I think Florida is doing great right now, no income tax. And in November, if you've heard or haven't heard, it's on the ballot right now to even remove property tax. Meanwhile, Florida runs a
That's the
surplus.
one.
They run a surplus in the budget, right? Despite not having an income tax, right? So it is possible. I mean, states like, then you have states like New York and California. I mean, they have a 10% income tax and they're running a deficit, right? So it really comes down to smart spending, efficient government, shrinking government's role, and letting the private sector grow. But of course, I'm also an advocate of supporting lower taxes and more freedoms.
Right. And I'll say two things real quick, then I'll let other people get in on this tax conversation. Well, one, I got a cousin that lives in Miami. I never heard of you before. You seem like a cool cat, but I'm going to ask my cousin about you and like, tell him, hey, yeah. He was on one of my YouTuber shows. He seems pretty cool. What about him? But so I'll give an example of how representations for taxes are pretty important. This is the latest I've heard of a scandal. It's an outright scandal. Gavin Newsom is trying to do some shit where he's trying to push taxes to pay for like 20 million diapers or some shit like that for families that can't afford them. And that's obviously a scam. And people didn't vote for that shit. They didn't vote him in as a representative to apply those type of fucking taxes. Excuse my language, Sarah. To apply those type of taxes that is obviously, again, clearly a money funnel system. But yeah, that's why I brought up taxes, and I wanted to get your opinion. But I'll let other people wing in on this.
Hey, Kraut, wasn't that exposed that his wife was in charge of it and like funneling like 30% of that money to other things? Didn't that just come out?
You may be right. Like I said, I read.
Yeah, I think that just came out. His wife
ago.
was in charge, and there was like 30% plus misappropriated of that. Can you imagine? The fucking nerve.
There's the
this was with the diaper scandal, like the
diaper thing.
The Democrats
Stealing
and
money from a diaper fund, bro.
The Democrats and the Republicans together put a bipartisan act to try and audit California because of all the money that's disappeared, like the hundreds of millions for the homeless, and Newsom vetoed it.
I bet.
Yeah,
he don't care.
Crazy.
Andy, if you commented on the war, I wasn't here to see it. What do you think, man? What do you think about what's going on?
About the war? I mean, I'm against it. I'm against almost every war. Like I said, obviously it doesn't want to be taken as a sign of weakness. I think that was one thing Sarah was asking. Like I said, if there's someone on our land and it's a real threat, I'll join the effort and fight with them. But I mean, when we're fighting wars overseas and being told, certain things that we don't know is true, and I'm not against that.
I love it. Where you at on the immigrants, man? If you spoke about that, probably, I'm sure.
No, that hasn't been asked yet. Look, I think America was founded as a nation of immigrants. I mean, my grandfather came here, right? My wife came from Europe. I mean, through the system legally. She's a citizen now. But yeah, we need borders. I mean, we need, you know, a nation isn't a nation without borders. I think we need to come through the system legally. You know, we need to, we need to continue to encourage that. I think that is the foundation of America. So
all right, let me get into detail. Because I thought I had you read with the first half of your answer. Now I'm not sure anymore. The guy, he's been
your
here.
Meter's off. Your meter's off, Joe.
Right. The guy who's been here, I don't know, let's say 10 years, you know, kids in school, he's got a business, broken no other laws, but came here definitely illegally. Kid was, say, born here. What are we going to do with that guy?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, look, if he's been here for 10 years and there hasn't been a cause of problem, I'm not for, you know, I'm not for breaking in and pulling this guy out or anything like that. You know, but
quick path to citizenship type shit. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's a tough question, you know, because I do think America needs to enforce, you know, there has to be a policy to legal immigration and it needs to uphold that.
I agree with that part, but the other thing, the reason we're mad at him and the reason it's only a misdemeanor entering this country is because he skipped through the vetting process. 10 years without breaking the law is a great vetting process. We have no argument left anymore if the guy been here that long and is, you know, joining society.
He's not a threat. He's proven not to be a threat and just wants to achieve the all-American dream like everybody here. I mean, right? I mean, that's, again, would like to see them come in legally, of course. But again, wouldn't be, I mean, that guy who's been here for 10 years with causing no problems doesn't, you know, I don't think
it's your heart. All I'm looking for, buddy, is your heart. Everybody, every politician, man, you're gonna have to make some tough decisions. I don't care. There is no just do what the voters say. You're gonna come into play at some point. And if you believe in the gain, you got to play the power game. And in order to get this vote, I got to do this thing and that thing, which that's what politics seem to be to me. You play the game. So it's most important for me to know your heart, which is, I guess, the most concerning shit to me is I think that you're one of those guys that are gonna just follow the law as opposed to your moral heart. You seem like a really cool cat, but that won't come into play if you're one of those, hey, that's the law. For instance, I don't know. There's a million laws.
Examples of this.
I can get into something because I know Joe, you're gonna be long-winded. I want to talk a little bit about the Terry stop.
Did you just hold on? Did you just say Joe can be long-winded?
And then say Terry stop. Like we aren't in for a half-hour lecture about the Terry stop.
I mean, you're bringing up, that was some.
Yeah, Clay.
Go ahead. That'll do it, though, Clay.
But that's the right one, right? That's the right one because there's laws now surrounding the Terry stop. It literally abuts the Terry stop. It's stop and frisk. It's all these pat down laws, right? And essentially the tenants for the Terry. Sorry.
You familiar with Terry stop, Andy?
The stop and frisk. I mean, is that what you were saying? The stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
the pat down.
So is that is that an example that you're?
That would be an example that you just get to stop my movement. Constitutionally, you would need probable cause. Not probable. You need the other one.
Warrant or signed.
The big one, whichever. Probable cause is the big one. Yes, to even stop my movement and stop me on the sidewalk. So this is straight really far from that. You get to stop anybody and pat them down and all that bullshit.
If I could get into this a little bit, because
didn't the Supreme Court rule that?
Yes, that's Terry versus Ohio, right?
Terry versus Ohio, 68 or 69, I think.
69.
The Supreme Court decided it was a mere inconvenience.
Inconvenience. Yeah. Oh, it's only, I get to touch you, but it's only mere inconvenience, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So the tenets of the Terry stop is similar to a civilian arrest, right? What's a citizen's arrest. It's very similar to a citizen's arrest. Like if you see something, you can actually make a citizen's arrest. A citizen can upon like a felony, right? Like if you see somebody shooting somebody, or whatever, you can actually, as a citizen, I can actually grab them and stop them and then restrain them. I would actually end up having to fill out paperwork and all that at the end of the day, blah, blah, blah. So it's very similar to that. The tenets of the Terry stop make sense, but the case of Terry was actually not a good case to base the tenets of Terry on. Terry was pacing back and forth in front of a jewelry store, and the cop saw this. He said, I believe that Terry was about to commit a crime. And then he was patting him down. He put him up, he did the stop and frisk, patted him down, found that he had a firearm, and then later found he was a felon. And so because of this, officer safety was born. So the idea that he actually needed to take the gun away from Terry and put it to the side, make sure that Terry wasn't dangerous as a criminal, identify him, make sure he is who he says he is, finds out he's a felon. Now he's actually, it's like a pretextual stop, essentially, at that point. It's an emergent circumstance because the cop believes he is about to commit a crime, is committing a crime, or will commit a crime in the future. And that the tenets are fine, but just like Terry, it's being abused. So the cop will stop and tell me I can't go anywhere because I'm holding a camera, right, in a public building. This is one of the problems that you'll see with First Amendment auditors. The people in the building will call the police, and the police will come and say, there's a guy here with a camera. The police will come, and the people will tell the cop, well, it's against our policy. Well, the cop says, all right, you can't go anywhere because I have to make sure that you can be in here. Well, the cop, one, should know the law, right? He should actually already know the law. How do you feel about creating like a PB 101, PB 102, PB 103, etc.? How do you feel about the police being held to a higher standard than the regular citizen because they should know the law versus the lower standard that we're actually seeing in the country, where when they commit crimes, they actually get lesser sentences, lesser punishment, and quite often it gets overturned at appeal because essentially what we're seeing is that it does go up. The DA didn't charge them correctly, so it's a technicality. They get off, and then they get all their pension back. They get all their
let's don't forget the part where you say when they commit crimes. Most crimes will never make it to court. They will be covered up 87 different ways.
Let's also not forget the part where Clay said that Joe was long-winded.
Yeah, let's also remember that Congress, the only effect Congress has over anything like this is like a federal purse strings. Like Congress doesn't unfortunately have the ability to affect stop and frisk on a state level, local level, only on a federal, and they could potentially threaten to restrict funding for that, but it'll only affect federal because they did that before, I believe, Clay, right? And then states were funding it in general. There was this big thing during Obama, I thought.
I don't want to defund the police. That's not my.
No, I know you don't.
No, I mean at all. I want them to get as much money as they need, right?
No, I'm saying Congress only has the ability to do one mechanism, defund.
It depends if he's fucking federal Congress. He can vote on laws and change the Terry stop.
It's based off of a federal case. It's literally based
Congress can only vote and affect that by funding. Congress affects funding.
Congress writes laws.
Yeah, they write laws too. Criminal code. So that's why I was saying PB 101, PB 102, PB. So they should be held to a higher standard, right? On the federal level. Right. So on the federal level, creating U.S. code that actually holds them accountable on the federal level, saying you're a cop. You should actually know the law, yet you aren't upholding our rights. You are breaking the law.
I see what you're saying. They can affect, that can affect purse strings if situations occur.
Right now, all we have, by the way, is I think it's 242 and is it not? 241. No, it's not. Yeah, it's 241, 242. Right, conspiracy to commit and
deprivation of rights.
Deprivation of rights. That's all we have right now. The rest of it, we don't have anything to hold them accountable.
But I have $20 in my pocket. Tom Carpenter comes in with a big 20, says zero trust, never trust, always verify. A paradigm from network security, a great philosophy to apply to AI and politicians. Any thoughts there, gentlemen?
Yeah, it sounds about
Great
right.
movie.
I don't know shit about AI, but I don't trust it.
That's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, that's a great movie.
Agreed.
And Hurricane says with another 20, says no more cameras, no more taxes, live morally, lawfully, and protect yourself. Well, how do
we
you
can't.
hold on a second? How do you enforce morality?
Well, we know how to protect ourselves, which is the last thing he said. And as
Yeah.
long as Andy keep taking our ARs, this will never happen.
I mean, it's not like this is an impossible situation. This goes along hand in hand with the mental health situation that we have in our country, because historically there's been high trust societies where this was not often a problem. Of course, there's always the occasional deviant, but the occasional deviant and what we have in today's society are two entirely different things. So there's apparently some things that need to be addressed before we could ever reach that, including accountability, honor, and actual intelligence, like what Sarah was talking about earlier, where the average American reads at a 5th grade level. That's their comprehension. Like, holy shit, that's absolutely insane. Have you looked at what 5th graders read? That's absolutely insane. You shouldn't become as an adult, you shouldn't degenerate to little kid thoughts. Like, that's wild. And so we as a country need to be addressed in that way, where we're and that's I like I think that all drugs should be legal. But I don't think we as a country have the ability to do that right now. We would implode. But I think it should be that way, but people also should
let
be
me ask
accountable.
Andy. I wanted to get him in anyway. Andy on what Bartison said, he thinks all drugs should be legal. And I'm jumping on that because that's my control thing. You are deciding what a man can do, what he could do, whether, what do you think about Bartison's all drugs should be legal?
All drugs? I mean, is it legal for anybody to just like to be able to do heroin, recreational heroin if they want to?
Smack. Yes, let's stick with that. Yes.
No, I mean,
why do you assume it would automatic? Hold on though. Why do you automatically assume it would be recreationally? Like myself, I live 2 hours from the grocery store. If something happens to me at my house, we have to deal with it. So we keep different things around. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to keep heroin around, because if I break like just a couple months ago, the bolt sent me flying 10 feet in the air and I landed sideways across some angle iron and broke a couple ribs. That hurt a little bit. I wasn't being an addict,
little bit,
but I could, a little bit.
Broken
but I could.
hurt.
I'm adult enough to understand when something's messed up and I can use some relief before I go driving across the mountain through mountain roads for 2 hours to get to a hospital.
You needed opium.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's all heroin is a derivative, is a extract. It's
more refined.
Yeah, wasn't it a fucking cough
So
syrup
I
way
think,
back in the day?
hold on. So Andy, basically what Ben is saying is you presumed recreational use only, but I think Ben is adding the caveat that it wouldn't just always, people typically assume recreational, but there are other medicinal purposes that Ben is referring to here.
Yeah, that I wasn't aware of with medicinal purposes of heroin, but
opioids.
Potentially, then I need to be educated on that. But it's not like
so. I
don't think it should be criminalized. No, I don't think drugs is. Then if there's an issue, I think if people need help, I don't think you should be operating any car under any info of using any drug. Okay, that's a crime. But just the use of crime, no. But is it? I don't to recreational use or. I mean, but then to recreational use, all drugs probably wouldn't be supportive of, and but medicinal use, okay. But you'd have to educate me a little bit more of the medicinal uses of heroin.
Well, that's what the cards heroin
is just
for,
opium.
Right?
Heroin is just opium derivatives. So back in the day, laudanum, it was called laudanum, and now we have Oxycontin and all the other opioids. And the only difference between those and heroin is a slight molecule adjustment. So that way they can patent it. and instead of being the plant medicine, which is doing basically the exact same thing. So you understand that they have all these prescriptions are just a derivative of these actual plant medicines, and the plant medicines you can't patent.
Yeah,
Andy, are you familiar with morphine?
Not firsthand.
Have you?
I
But
know
do you
of
know
it.
what
I
it
mean,
is?
yes,
I'm not
I know what
asking
it
you.
is. I mean, my
Okay, morphine's
philosophy with
derived
drugs
from
is
heroin.
if it comes from the earth, it's generally okay. If it's made in a lab, I that's potentially questionable.
Hey, question, guys.
Man-made,
For
no, earth, God-made, okay.
opium in Afghanistan is called taryak, and if you haven't experienced it in the raw form, then you should. One thing, guys, don't you guys all? This is a question for everyone. The problem with
opinions
America, right?
expressed on this panel are not necessarily those of the show. All right, continue.
Right.
But
Thank you, Joe.
country where it's legal. But here's the question: in America, we have crazy amount of drug use, like prescription drugs, right? Psychoactive drugs, SSRIs, all that shit. You guys realize that as a country, we would fucking implode immediately if people would have no idea what mixing. Like, you take an antidepressant pill that you've been on 12 years, and even if you mix it with alcohol, you have a big problem. Imagine someone decides to go and mix it with, oh, what's this? Oh, it's cocaine. Oops, it's ketamine. And you know what I mean? Like, we're on I would say that we have to clean up our pharmaceutical addiction in this country first before we open up to the plant medicines, which I think would be the future of our country. Like, everyone I know is on everything.
That's what I'm saying. We would need to have a transition as a public.
Transition is a great word.
Responsible enough to do that. But I think ideally we are a responsible enough public that I can manage to not have things around my house. I can have a bottle of Everclear that sits in my house and I only use it for cleaning things. Somehow I manage not to go chug it. That it's the way it works.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. You do things responsibly. That's what being an adult is.
Andy, what if Ben, because he has them broken ribs, he went out and got him a bag of smack, but he's an adult and he's using it for pain. When he get caught on the street with that bag of smack, it's a big bag. He way in the country. He's got a really big bag. How much time in jail do you give poor Ben?
Jeez.
Well, he's not a lawyer. He's not a lawyer.
You have to make in Congress.
He writes the law.
No,
he
it's
can
not.
get bit off right now.
One thing we have to consider is the distribution. It's the distribution. So I actually thought about this recently because I have somebody that wants to do this debate prompt, and I was thinking who would be against legalization of all drugs, because I have two people that want to do the legalization. And I was thinking, well, what would the argument be, right? And it's not necessarily the idea that if I was like Ben and had opioids sitting in my house and I use it on my own time, on my own way, yada, yada, yada. That's one thing. I mean, there's no reason the cops are going to come into my home unless I'm doing something actually illegal outside of my home.
I had to drive to the house with this shit.
Let me get to my point, Joe. All right. But it's the distribution thereof that is the bigger problem, right? But what if you grow the shit yourself? Just like Andy said, if it's comes from the ground, so on and so forth, and you know how to process it and turn it into whatever it is you need to turn it into. That's one thing, right? Because you're doing something within your own home. However, not the average crackhead knows how to grow crack in his own home. Okay.
I don't know if
they don't know how to make it.
They
don't know how to do it.
If I was a heroin
addict, I know how to milk everything. I can milk anything. Poppies, no problem.
My point is this is where the distributors come in, and this is where things go black market style. This is where fentanyl gets fed into things that kill people get fed into things. People they're not utilizing the drug as a way
Good point.
that it's meant to be, right? Because if you were, you would be home growing it. You would be processing it yourself. You would have an appreciation for the medicinal purposes of it instead of just going and seeing Joe Blow down on the street corner and say, give me my smack, right? There's a big stark difference between the distribution and somebody growing pot or something in their own home.
I want to ask you what that distribution looks like, but I want to give you a second to think about it because I want Andy.
Did he cut out?
A little bit.
No, you cut out.
Probably a sign. I don't think
very
because
good.
the rest
Very
of talking
good.
about like drug policies all day. Like
All right, I
Congress
gotta
doesn't
drop.
really.
Can y'all hear me? I can't.
Yeah,
hear
we
you.
can hear you now.
I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, so I wouldn't. I would need to know the whole. I would need to know the entire argument. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The funny
Right.
thing is, I wasn't even trying to make this side quest. I was just using it as an example of what we can't have because we're an irresponsible society. Like,
Mhm.
Well, one of
here's
the
a question for
problems here,
Joe.
too, is
So
much like marijuana, the plant is not legal. The plant itself, right? So what the federal government has done is they actually have illegalized or criminalized the actual growing of the plant itself, which is insanity.
Crazy.
They start telling the people that they can't grow a plant.
Well, and so this comes down to my right to privacy within my home. So we have laws in place within our amendments that are reflected via the Supreme Court that show like what somebody does within their home is not the business of the government, right? Behind closed doors kind of concepts. This is why gay marriage was kind of like okayed later, because it's like, look, if you're gay, like what you're doing that is gay is within your home. So why are
You
we
have a great argument, Sarah.
why are we investing ourselves into the homes of people? We should only be concerned with what people do outside of their homes that reflect on public space or interfere with other people's rights.
I would
So-
say
No,
that
let Andy address it. Let Andy address it, please.
well, there are some things in the home that you
Brick,
don't
I
want-
see you every day. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I
hear you.
Can you let Andy address it? I see you all the time. Yeah.
What's the question?
Yeah.
She's asking, when going to people's home, what if some guy Ben is making the poppies at home? To stick with our analogy, what do you think about somebody going in there and giving them time for that shit?
I mean, why
Bro,
are we
you got to
just
be more
randomly-
specific. You're
it's just a
asking.
random-
I don't.
I-
Apparently, he's
hold on.
answering the question
There's
already.
legal search and seizure,
Apparently, it
illegal search
worked.
and
It
seizure.
worked well. He was
You're not going to
answering the
get someone to
question.
come on here and just be like, "Hey, what if all of a sudden?"
No,
legal
really, he was
search and seizure
answering it
warrant,
before you interrupted.
seizure. Which one is it?
Andy?
Yeah, I mean that's where my mind was too. I mean, why are we just randomly searching people's homes for things? Right?
Yeah,
So,
You
I mean,
you
like,
saw
we're
the
making-
poppies there in the backyard. Make it easy for you.
A
Okay, so
congressman
you-
saw the poppies in the backyard of someone's house.
You had a
Talking
warrant.
to Andy, pimp. I love you, but
you-
I love you
we
too,
got
but you got to
limited
be
time.
specific.
Yeah.
This
Well-
I
is-
don't
but
really. I
Joe,
don't. If I were
real
talking to
quick.
you,
Well, hold
perhaps
on,
I would have to
hold
be.
Joe,
on, hold on,
Joe,
Joe.
that's the
Joe.
campaign
1 second.
manager you're talking to.
All right, I'm going to take hold here. Joe, what he said, what Shaman's trying to iterate to you is that your hypothetical doesn't make sense. Andy
I
is
don't
not.
care.
Hold on, listen. Andy's not a cop. All right, he's running
Or
for
an
Congress,
attorney.
right? That's a totally
What?
different
I
world.
didn't know he wasn't a cop.
Listen. If you wanna ask kind of like more amendment based questions or things that surround more like policy, procedure, so on and so forth, I can
He's on a
understand
campaign.
that, right? But I wouldn't say like, oh well, Andy, if you saw something in the back of somebody's yard, what would you blah 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 blah? Because that's not the position he's going to be in.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Sarah, just one. I was
Great,
Joe, real quick. I
great
was
that
asking
you
to be
don't think my
specific.
question applies
Can you
and
be
you don't like
specific?
it. I
Because we're-
could not
Joe,
care
Joe,
less.
We
I
don't
have
want
my own agenda
I
here.
do
I'm
care.
trying to
I do
find
care
out the
because I'm
man's
the one who brought
heart
it here.
below
So
me
your
and stop
question, you need to
interrupting
be very
me.
specific.
All right,
Meaning,
all right,
I will be specific for him.
Flip this shit out of order and
I got
ruin
you,
the
I
entire
got you, Omar.
campaign. So I'm asking you, Joe, as a friend, give specifics so we don't get clipped out of the wrong way. That's all.
I know what his argument is. I will actually ask it the way the policy fits.
No, I love Joe.
I'm
I'm
not
just saying,
interested. Stop
be
disregarding
specific.
me like I'm not here. I'm not a
Hey,
fucking child.
Sarah,
We're
can I
talking
say
about
something?
you. What are you talking about?
I'm trying to talk to
You're asking
Andy, and
if
you
I can-
niggas
my
want to
hypothetical.
interpret for me. That's
Hold
three
on,
people
hold
so
on,
Someone
far.
interpret what else you to interpret.
Hold on. All right, stop, all of you. Now, number one, I said very specifically, maybe Joe, you didn't hear it, but one thing I did say earlier was we're not going blood sport tonight. Number
This
two,
is me being kind as fuck,
stop.
yo.
Hold on, please, Joe. Number two, I'm incredibly fucking tired, Joe. I haven't slept
Grr.
since yesterday. Okay, that's why exactly I said we'll only have a specific time, and you have very limited time left right now. So I think what we're asking is to be concise and order it in such a way that Andy can reflect on what you're asking. He's not a cop. He's not a lawyer. He's not in that realm of things. Put it in a place where he would have something to say to it. Not it, what if, right? Don't put him in a hypothetical. Ask the policy question.
No, thank you. I'm sorry. Andy will run into real world people at some point. I'm sorry, but it's her room, Andy, and you don't have to ask the question. And I'm not going to take the time to rephrase it. I'm an adult. I'll ask the way I like.
Hey, Joe, cool. Can I ask you a question real quick?
That's
And it's
good.
kind of
Better ask fucking Sarah if you can ask her.
Omar, hold up real quick. Joe, cool. I assume you generally, I like Andy. He seems like a good guy. I don't want to scare him off these panels. So
nor do I. That's why I was being kind. I'm sorry.
You're
I'm
not
sorry.
being kind,
I'm sorry.
bro. You're kind of getting bent right now, man. Just calm down a little bit. You know, you
I have 4 people
in your voice. Just calm down a little bit.
I'll smoke. Let me smoke some.
I like the panel. I like the discussion.
No, Joe's
I appreciate.
awesome.
Yeah, everybody's been pretty cool.
I just don't want to be the reason why Andy gets clipped out of context, Joe, because they're going to be trying to get him out of the left and the right. They're going to be looking for anything, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm sorry. He
I
can be a
love you,
big
Joe.
boy.
What are
He'll
you
have to
talking
make
about?
his own
I'm saying be
decisions, or
specific.
Sarah have to cut me off. No, he'll run into this in real life. It's a great test. This is the softest place to run into it.
Joe, there's a guy that taps Arnold Schwarzenegger on the back whenever it's time for him to move on and stop talking. He literally has a guy to tap him on the back to move the fuck along, right? That's what a manager is. Listen to the manager.
I'm doing that right now.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool, Omar. I didn't know you knew politicians like that, man. That's what's up. You're Andy's manager, right?
Campaign manager.
Campaign manager. Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's really cool.
Wait, is that the guy I was yelling at as his manager? I apologize if I was yelling at his manager.
Hey, look, Omar, I'm running to be the leader of my household. Can you help me out with that?
I don't think Andy's a politician at this point, and I don't think we want Andy to be a politician.
Omar, again, I apologize.
No, Joe, hold on real quick. Let me and Joe, one second, Clay. Joe, you're literally one of my favorite people here. I was just trying to, because the thing is that they're going to be coming both ways. Like, for example, just today, we had a meeting in a big law firm. They're like, oh, we'd love to have lunch. We know they want to go this way. We have a meeting tomorrow. They want to go. Everyone's trying to throw money to buy him off. And I just don't want him to get
it. You're a man, and I would respect your decisions, and you're the guy to make them. Had you said that, whatever reason you had would have been cool with me. I understand, and the one you gave is great. I want to say I shouldn't have yelled at you, but I just thought
Joe, that's why you're the shit. Don't worry about that crap. What are you talking about? No, I was just saying, like, ask the specific details, because we go to general. They go, look, Andy Daro wants to legalize all search and seizure, or Andy Daro wants to. Then we get screwed.
I understand. I'll divert period from my shit. I only got one gear, and that's probably it.
Yeah, he's all about marijuana. He said plants should be legal. And follow that train of thought where the guy's at, but it's too early for us to.
I understand. If early I had that thought myself, I would screw myself. I like the cat. I would be angry at myself, which is why I would have deferred to you anyway if I knew you was fucking manager. Yeah.
Okay, Joe.
No, we're good, man. Don't worry. We're good.
I never really did get a response on the Terry Stop stuff.
Very good.
Joe, Ben, you're muted.
On your point about lowering costs of housing, where would you stand then about rolling back regulations? Because one of the biggest driving factors in building these larger, more luxury houses is the regulations cost almost the same to build that house as it does to build the single family dwelling, which they're going to make almost no money off of. So what's the point when all that's going to cost them? All the red tape BS is going to cost them the same. They might as well make the more money since they had to put that in. You're muted, sir.
Agreed. Yeah, that's what we had spoke out before. Remove regulations of building approved projects, right? I mean, one of the ideas too is all cities have kind of like an impact fee, they call it, or like, when you get building, maybe the local municipalities, federal could for approved projects, the federal's matching this impact fee for the developer, so it lowers the developer's cost to build these projects, making it potentially affordable to build, to be profitable rather to build affordable housing. I think that That would be the goal, to find ways that developers can build affordable housing profitably, and then the private sector will build it and the people will get it. I mean, that's what we want.
The problem's
But
probably
you're
the
right.
red tape, right? They could pull it off,
Remove-
except someone is going to say we can't have that zone here. We're going to need 18 permits. It doesn't have the proper lag bolts. It's going to end up looking like a real freaking $1 million house before it gets to the government.
That is what happens, and it's the same for small houses as big houses, basically. So the developers would rather take the bigger money, of course. It's bigger return on investment.
Yeah, I think there's builders and developers for all products. So, there are plenty of builders that are building affordable homes. And if we made it even more desirable to do so, they'd probably put out, more developers would enter this field, and more supply would be created. So it's entirely possible to, have bills that are going to incentivize developers in the private sector to do this. And that would be one of my biggest initiatives. I think that's what people want more than anything.
How do you feel about flock cameras?
What cameras?
Flock
cameras.
Flock
It's
cameras.
the cameras that they have set up for the AI for the speeding tickets and stuff.
Ooh. Well, I mean, I'm not an advocate of over surveillance or Big Brother watching you everywhere, right? I mean, we need our privacy.
Bless
you. There may be certain circumstances where it provides safety. I think that's been brought to me. I mean, we've even had that in our local municipality. Like, this is like, these cameras are strictly posed on the street to pose X, Y, and Z, and it's it's bringing safety. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely something that's becoming more relevant now with Palantir and all the extra surveillance we have.
That's what it is. They're loaning it out to other people, and other people are getting to use what their technology.
Private industry. Yeah,
I think this brings us to that broader conversation of the balance between security and liberty, right?
Yes.
Benjamin Franklin has the famous quote: "Those who would sacrifice essential liberty for a little purchased safety deserve neither." Right?
Yeah.
Deserve the knife. You said
deserve
I
neither.
thought that was Thomas
Neither.
Paine.
No, that's Benjamin Franklin. Neither.
Okay.
Neither.
Neither.
Oh, okay.
Neither. So essential liberty.
Oh, the 9. Oh, yeah.
Right. Essential liberty, not just any. Essential security. Essential. You got me fucked up on this fucking quote here. Those who would sacrifice essential liberty for a little purchased safety. Okay.
Right.
Purchasing safety is one of the pastimes of American hope for the future, to secure a future for our posterity, right? But you have essential liberty. Now, what liberty is it's like when sailors are on a ship, they request liberty, right? And that goes into the petition part we talked about earlier, where we request certain laws to be written to regulate our government. We have a liberty here. That's our rights. And so protecting our liberty, our rights, when we sacrifice the essential ones. Now, not all liberty is the same, right? I can ask for liberty to go do some horrible shit, but that's not lawful. The essential liberties are lawful. So when we sacrifice our rights, which is those essential liberties, the regulation on the government, for a little purchased safety, that is these flock cameras, to surveil us, Big Brother watches us, then they get all our personal information. I take my credit card out of my wallet. Guess what? There's a camera watching, goes into a big data center. And by the way, we got to pay for that as well. So we're paying for our own demise at that point.
They're also locking people up off of them flock cameras because they make mistakes and they're not double checking. They just going by what the computers say, raiding homes and doing crazy shit, finding out the cameras got enough wrong.
Yeah, the safety and security would have to be clearly out and undisputable, I guess, for it to make sense, right? I mean, if there were undisputable safety measures that were added to the public by putting this camera here and that was explainable and agreeable, then okay. I mean, we can probably get on board with it, but otherwise.
But that is the inch by inch that they've taken, like something like seatbelts.
I get
at
it.
one point was that thing. Like now the
Yeah.
government says I must wear a seatbelt because the government says I need to in my own car doing what I'm doing. And now they get to track me and everything else. And along with these flock cameras, they're also coming out with trucks that record you and report and everything. And as these guys said, there's already a bunch of civil suits out there because the information, sometimes for them, 2 and 2 equals 5.
So another amendment, and this is actually what, if I could have you take anything away from any of this, it's going to be the constitutional application, right? So the weight here, right? So you weigh that safety measure against the Constitution. It's the Constitution that contains the Bill of Rights, our rights. And so when you're talking about the Fourth Amendment here, we're talking about the right of the people to be secure in their persons, papers, and effects, unless a warrant's written upon an oath or affirmation. So that securing of the person's papers and the person, paper, and effect, that's our job to do that. That's not the government's job to secure our person's papers and effects. Right. Now, we do sometimes, even still, like for an instance, privacy redactions are because of the fact that we allow the government to rule certain aspects of our lives. If we didn't allow the government to do that, guess what? No privacy redactions necessary, right? But we do. So, yes, there are certain places where privacy is important, but we, the people, need to know that you have our best interest, and that if you're going to take up the task of securing our person's papers or effects while the camera's looking down on us, that it's written into the code of that security that even the government itself doesn't have access to it.
Constitutionalist, and we're constitutional first, American first. That's we gotta follow that. And also, you guys brought up good points too. Trying to lead with morality too, whenever possible too. So I mean, that's also to keep that. That's part of how I operate, and I hope.
You can't outthink them. You're gonna have to outheart them. You're gonna have to go with your gut and do things. You won't be able to outthink them. You're gonna turn into a trickster like they are. If you try and be as wise like a serpent with some shit.
This was
he's gonna end up like Cynthia McKinney.
Clay, I'm surprised you.
Crowd, did you want to say any final words before you head on out of here, bud?
Yeah, same.
Crowd?
Yeah. That's pretty funny with your response, sir. I'll say that. Second, yeah, Andy. Yeah, man, it was great having you.
I enjoyed it. Thank you, guys.
This wasn't a normal debate thing that we normally do, so I don't really have any closing. I'll just say to the chat, if I can, anybody that doesn't support taxes, you're a moron, because you clearly don't know how cities, states, or even the government itself works. We need taxes, but we need representation. Hence the famous quote, no taxation without representation. And like we stated, Andy and all the politicians are our representation. We need taxes. We just don't want taxes for dumb shit. And Andy and politicians are supposed to represent what we need the taxes for. Basically, Clay can support that. I mean, me and Clay agree on a lot of shit. We just don't agree on the rights thing. Have a good night.
All right, I'm going to have to come back sometime and check out this gauntlet thing. Enjoying some of this conversation.
They can't say
Boulder.
you there, bro.
Thank you for that, Boulder.
Be careful.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy it.
That's the one thing everyone's agreeing on. You sure about that?
Good one.
All right, let's go ahead around the room. Sorry for the people in the back, but I am not in any mood. I am pooped out. I've been up since yesterday, and I'm not going any longer, nor am I taking any more questions.
Andy's still up.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I thought he was dropping. Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Sarah.
everyone's gonna give their final thoughts and say their thank yous. Clay, would you like to kick us off, sir?
Yeah, I sure would. I'm really happy to have been part of this. This was a lot of fun. This needs to happen more often. I think that folks like Omar, who know who's running and have interest, they can talk to their candidates and bring them on to their social medias to talk to their people and then be able to broadcast this. This was absolutely amazing. Like I said, I've been to a town hall before, and I was able to talk to my congressperson, which was really awesome. Talk to her about some of the similar things with Andy. He's an independent. He does have his own mind. I think that he's really shown that today. He's looking at things from not just the legal and lawful standpoint.
Official sign off.
Go ahead, Clay.
And the constitutional aspects of it. But he's also looking at things from a financial aspect. He's also looking at things from the morality and the principles, the ethics. I really believe that he's actually looking at these things from the view of the people. I think that's what he really has to do. And it's like I mentioned to him, I understand that he has to look at it from his district as well. So the 24th district is his district. We might have our opinions out in our districts of what we want for the country. And that may actually play a big part in what he decides ethically, morally, principally, but he has to listen to his voters. And so because of that, I expect him to. I would not expect anything less from a congressperson. He shouldn't be a politician. Don't be a politician, Andy. Whatever you do, don't be a politician. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Andy. And thank you to the panel and everybody watching. And you guys, just so you know, you should absolutely 100% support Sarah in this. She didn't have to do this. Omar didn't have to reach out. If you can throw anything her way, if you like what Andy had to say, throw some funding toward him and his campaign. Support where you support. And that's really all I got. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Clay. We love you. Calvin, to you, my love.
Yeah, I'll keep it short for you because I know you want to get off. Thank you, Sarah. Unfortunately, Andy's gone. He's gone. So, Andy, if you're listening, thank you for joining this dysfunctional family, and I hope you enjoy.
No, this is the best family ever, Calvin. What are you talking about?
Big wrecked.
Certainly eclectic for sure.
It's like someone took a bag of Skittles and a bag of M&Ms and threw them in a bowl and said, "Go."
Where else could you?
Where was Effigy tonight?
Effigy?
He was in the chat earlier.
Okay,
he was in the chat earlier.
Could have used him. All right. Thanks, Sarah.
Absolutely. Ant, to you, please.
Thanks for having the panel tonight, Sarah, especially given how tired you are. Thanks for everybody who showed up. Thanks for Andy for coming over. It's interesting to be able to have direct access to even an aspiring politician like that. Anyways, everyone else, thank you for your supporting the channel, and don't forget to tip your Sarah on the way out and fuck off.
Thank you, Ant. For the win, your thoughts, please, sir.
Thank you for staying up with us, Sarah. We appreciate you. I know it's been rough, but Andy, it was awesome having you up here. I appreciate everything that you said here tonight. We got to learn a little bit about you and everything. And go USA for the World Cup. We had a big game against Bosnia, like you said. So
let's go.
Yep.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you for the win. Mr. Joe Cool, your final thoughts, please.
To you, Andy, kind of what Brick said. His last words were, "Don't be a politician. I am so afraid from you. You seem like a nice guy. And I am so pessimistic when it comes to politicians, man. It's like it's nothing but demons and shit out there. And I think it's because it's control. It becomes a game of control. And I think that's inherently evil. I know it sounds like I didn't fucking hear none of the conversation. I think this is important, though. The game you're going into is control. It's like heroin. I fear for you. Good luck. God bless, man.
Thank you, man. Joe. I got Ant, right? I got For the Win. I got Joe. I got Calvin. Mr. Balderson, to you, please.
I really appreciate the time you gave. It was an excellent talk. Like I said, I expect what I expected out of somebody that Omar is putting up and wanting to endorse. So, and you didn't disappoint. I really appreciate how much thought you put into everything, and this was a lot of fun. It was great meeting you.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And Omar, your final thoughts, sir?
I want to say thank you all, because I'm on here a lot, and everyone's a familiar face, and I know how crazy we can get. But I also know how much we care about things, right? That's why we all talk and move through arguments and move, to and fro. And Sarah provides us with that opportunity. And so Andy's like one of my closest friends, and he's the type of person we need, because he's just balanced. You know what I mean? He's like the real deal, right? That's why you have people like me who I can filter through all the corrupt parasites because I can smell them. You know what I mean? So we need filters and layers, right? We need filters and layers, and we need points where we can like put our feet in the ground and make some changes. And so for him to like come in and have 3 distinct bills, that are going to be proposed on day one provides a level of transparency, right? And it becomes news like, are you voting for or against the End Foreign Influence Act? Well, apparently over 84% of Congress is voting for it in their pockets right now, right? So we have to, they say sunlight is the best disinfectant. And that's what we need to do. We need to start bringing some sunlight onto this situations. And it takes a certain person who's going to jump into the fucking Thunderdome of that parasitical entity, our current status of what I would consider as the best system ever created is the American constitutional republic, right? And so, and Sarah, I want to say thank you. All of us. I wish Spin was here, that would have been awesome.
Backstage, but he didn't make it in time to get up, and I'm not taking any more questions.
And Sarah, I appreciate opening like this. And we're in the Congressional. One last thing, we're in and Joe, we're always cool. Where's he at? Anyway, we're at a very serious point in our history right now, and a lot of people, like voters, are going into the independent, even in their own minds. Everyone understands that this 2-party system is really one party, and we're moving in a very bad direction. So start paying attention, start seeing in your congressional districts if there is an independent candidate. And if there's not, there should be, right? So motivate somebody who's the best person. Motivate the best person to take action, and then support that person. Because we have 50 states, we have 500 congressional seats. It's not that crazy. And so what we're doing is getting behind all the people who are going to go forth with what we're doing. We have an amazing the campaign is going to be crazy. The market is going to be strong. The endorsement is going to be powerful. I can assure you guys, as I say it right here, timestamp this. You have not seen a campaign like what's going to come through here. All right? So buckle up. And Sarah, and I look forward to bringing the debates here on this stuff. Let's get this congressional debates going with the 2-party systems, independent candidates, and bring them into the blood sports. This is going to be we're in a congressional election year. It's showtime. Let's do it. Because no more pretending like we're different. Oh, I know what you mean. No. Let's show them for what they really are.
Fair enough. Let's OTVO. Shout out to you, sir, with the Big 20. Always listening. Happy to see Andy also brought his ears. Win stream. Happy tomatoes to you, OTVO. Shout out to you. And Andy, I reserve the final thoughts for you, sir, to the panel. Take it away.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's time and conversations and thoughts and support. I was warned that this was a tough crowd, but everyone was very cool. So thanks for either taking it easy on me or
I told them to.
Well, then thank you, Sarah. You lightened up. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll connect more again in the future as we move forward to November. So thank you.
Most certainly. Thank you to everyone on the panel for your kindness and being respectful to the guest. Of course, this is different from our usual, and I appreciate you being able to kind of maneuver along with me so that we can do some different things like this and have some more variety packs instead of just yelling at each other all day. It's so much more fun. All right. A shout out to you, Andy. News to you. I'm going to actually clip up this video, make a regular one, and you'll be able to download it and put it on yours too if you want. But since we had that little fire alarm thing, I'm going to clip it, make it pretty, and make it just one video with just our interview. And if they want the whole thing, they can come to this one.
We have an idea who did that to us. We have an idea.
Sprinkler gate.
one of those things. Yeah, unfortunate, but thanks for carrying the conversation while we left. And enjoyed joint conversation was fun.
It's totally okay. It happens. But shout out to all of the maters who wanted to come hang out tonight. And of course, I hope we get to do more of these opportunities. And again, if you want to talk about Vegas, we got some upcoming things, and I'm going to talk about what happened and all of those things over at the Sleepy Tomato this weekend. So you have to be subbed up over there if you get the notifications. And then I could tell you all about the Mater Meetup upcoming. All right, everyone out there in Mater Nation, I love you so much. You are amazing creatures. And fuck off.